Lisbon Maru was a Japanese cargo liner built at Yokohama in 1920 for a Japanese shipping line. During World War II, the ship was requisitioned by the Japanese Army and turned into an armed troop ship. On her final voyage, Lisbon Maru was being used to transport prisoners of war between Hong Kong and Japan when it was torpedoed by the submarine USS Grouper on October 1, 1942. Over 800 British POWs died in the sinking, either by drowning or being shot by Japanese soldiers as they attempted to escape from the sinking ship. Approximately 380 British POWs were rescued by nearby Chinese fishermen, but were soon recaptured by the Japanese. The remaining 644 POWs were salvaged by nearby Japanese naval vessels from the water and taken back into captivity. Lisbon Maru was completed on July 8, 1920 at the Yokohama Dock Company shipyard in Yokohama, Japan as yard number 70, entering service for a major Japanese shipping line, Nippon Yusen Kabushiki Keisha, and registered at the port of Tokyo. The ship was 445 feet 135, 6 meters long, with a beam of 58 feet 17, 7 m and a depth of 30 feet 10 m. It measured 7,053 girt and 4,308 nart. Twin propellers were powered by a pair of triple expansion steam engines with a combined rating of 630 nfpnt, giving a service speed of 12 knots 22 km per hour, 14 miles per hour. The engines and 4 boilers were made by the shipbuilder. On her final voyage, the Lisbon Maru was carrying 700 Japanese Army personnel and 1,816 British prisoners of war captured after the Battle of Hong Kong in December 1941. The POWs were held in appalling conditions. Those at the bottom of the hold showered by the diary of 6 soldiers above. On October 1, 1942, the ship was torpedoed by the submarine USS Grouper while traveling through the East China Sea. The Japanese troops were evacuated from the ship, but the POWs were not. Instead, the hatches were battened down above them and they were left on the listing ship. After 24 hours, as it became apparent that the ship was sinking, the POWs were able to break through the hatch covers. Some were able to escape from the ship before it sank. The ladder from one of the holds to the deck failed, and the Royal Artillery POWs in the hold could not escape. They were last heard singing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary." Survivors reported that Japanese guards first fired on the POWs who reached the deck, and that other Japanese ships used machine guns to fire at POWs who were in the water. Later, however, after some Chinese fishermen started rescuing survivors, the Japanese ships also rescued survivors. The sinking occurred near the Jiaoshan archipelago, close to the islands of Qingbang and Miyazihu. Upon noticing the black smoke and debris from the wreck, fishermen from these islands spontaneously sailed out to rescue survivors, saving a total of 384 POWs. As more fishing boats approached the wreck site, Japanese ships, which had been shooting at the British POWs in the water, began to pick up survivors. The 384 British POWs rescued by Chinese fishermen were taken into their homes and temples on the islands, where they were provided with food and clothing. 3 days later, Japanese gunboats landed on these islands and recaptured 381 of them, while 3 were hidden and protected by the local residents. These 3, J.C. Falaise, W.C. Johnstone, and A.J.W. Evans, eventually made their way back to the UK via Chongqing, the wartime capital of China, in early 1943. Over 800 of these men died either directly as a result of the sinking or from being shot or otherwise killed by the Japanese guards while swimming away from the wreck. 10. The ship was not marked to alert Allied forces to the nature of its passengers.